Mesdames et messieurs, I should have brought a glass. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Mesdames et messieurs, I'll sing. Mesdames et messieurs, thank you. Merci, merci, merci. Merci les gens de YouTube, etc. Non. Welcome to the lunch. Bienvenue au dîner. J'insiste pour que les gens gardent le minimum du bruit. Parce qu'on va avoir 3 présentations. We're going to have 3 presentations, and I would appreciate that people try to minimize the noise level. Thank you very much. And I'll watch the people who are making noise, and I'll see them at the end, and I'll take care of business. Manu, I think I got the message out there. I just want to invite Zimpenta Dori to the floor over here. She'll represent us Durango Gold, a good West African story, which I think is a successful on all the lines, technically, social acceptability-wise. Zimpenta has been in the industry for a while, I believe. So was with Extrata Nickel. Takes care of the corporate development and the business aspects or social responsibility aspects. Voila. So I'll keep it short, but again, I insist on keeping the noise level low and have a good lunch, nevertheless. So thank you very much. Zimpenta.
Thank you, Eric. Good afternoon. I hope you all enjoy your lunch. I'm here today to tell you about Durango Gold and how we are building the next multi-asset mid-tier gold producer in West Africa. Over the past few years, we have worked very hard to put together the building blocks, to put a pipeline of assets in place that will take us from being a 250,000 ounce producer to a 500,000 ounce producer without issuing any equity. And we are well on our way to achieving that, with a producing asset in Senegal, a second mine on its way in Burkina Faso, and a robust exploration pipeline in each of these jurisdictions, as well as Côte d'Ivoire. Today we have a market cap of approximately 400 million, and we're only receiving value for a portion of our deep pipeline. And I will be reviewing our assets in greater detail in this presentation. We've made a lot of progress in key areas of our business last year. We've met all our milestones, and in 2017, we had an exceptional year at Durango. We achieved guidance and record production at our flagship Sabodala mine in Senegal. We extended its life of mine to 2031, and we increased reserves, production, and most importantly, our free cash flow forecast. Last September, we announced a positive feasibility study for our second mine, Wahgnion, in Burkina Faso. We have since received financing commitment for project construction, and construction is now underway. We completed a joint venture on a very attractive land package in Côte d'Ivoire and have had a very successful year with the drill bit in Golden Hill in Burkina Faso. And we won several international awards for our corporate social responsibility activities. I will discuss how we are advancing our portfolio and outline our upcoming milestones for 2018. But before I do, I would like to introduce you to Madame Mamanding. Mamanding and her family live near the Sabodala gold mine. Before we built Sabodala and resettled a small hamlet, local women spent their days milling flour by hand, 2 to 3 hours every morning, then sourcing and carrying water, or working in traditional mines, all while taking care of their children, oftentimes on their backs. They had little time for their families and little time for themselves. Following the resettlement, Mamanding's husband started working at the Sabodala mine. She and her family moved from a thatched hut to a brick home adjacent to clean water. A mill was installed in the new hamlet for the entire community, so the women would no longer have to spend several hours in their day milling flour. With time freed, Mamanding now works in one of Durango's 12 community market gardens, growing on average 40% of the products for her own family's consumption and selling the remaining 60% locally. The extra income earned buys her and her family better food, better life, and long-term independence. In Mamanding's own words, our resettlement has really improved our lives. As Durango Gold's leader for corporate social responsibility, I am extremely proud of our company's commitment and the work we do for families such as Mamanding's. Durango's corporate mission is to create long-term sustainable value for all of our stakeholders through responsible mining. For today's mining companies, CSR isn't a nice to have. We know that social performance is critical to our ability to create shareholder value. Maintaining a strong social license is one of Durango's competitive advantages. We do this in 3 ways. 1, we drive shareholder value by creating trust-based relationships that help maximize the potential for our mines, such as Sabodala, and help deliver projects such as Wahgnion on time and on budget. 2, we manage risk to avoid community unrest and work stoppages. And 3, we improve local livelihoods through social and local employment, local procurement, progression, and promotion. We have developed an exceptional reputation in Senegal for social responsibility, and we enjoy solid relationships with the government as a result. In Senegal alone, we invest more than $1 million annually to advance sustainable community development projects, support small businesses and local capacity building, and to deliver more than 40 training programs to develop business skills, literacy, and numeracy. When Durango first entered Senegal, the company engaged stakeholders and local and regional communities in an 18-month consultation process to determine their key priorities, which included agriculture and food security, education and youth training, and sustainable economic activities. Our investments align with local development and government priorities and are formalized through annual partnership agreements. All investment decisions are made in collaboration with the communities themselves. In addition, Sabodala employs in excess of 93% local Senegalese. That's more than 1,000 people, of which 50% are from the local communities surrounding the villages. Our CSR leadership at Sabodala has been recognized locally and internationally, culminating in the mining industry's most prestigious award. In 2017, we received the PDAC Environmental and Social Responsibility Award, an honor that we share with the Senegalese government and the local communities. Our track record in Senegal has opened doors for us in other West African countries as well. Anyone familiar with mining permits knows that they can take months, if not years, to obtain and renew. Based on our track record in Senegal, the government of Burkina Faso renewed the permits required to close the acquisition that brought us Wahgnion and Golden Hill in just weeks. And we similarly expect to lead with our social license in Côte d'Ivoire. Our social license is also successful to the timely completion of our resettlement projects at our Sabodala mine and our Wahgnion project. Our resettlement process will safeguard livelihoods, respect family bonds, and meet or exceed national and international standards, and build long-lasting, trusting relationships with our host communities. We welcome the increased scrutiny that many investors are placing on social performance to ensure that companies act responsibly and they make a measurable impact on their communities. The right to operate in a host country must be earned. And at Durango, we remember that every day. As I mentioned, we honed our skills and solidified our CSR reputation at Sabodala, an operating asset located on a large land package in mining-friendly Senegal. The mine has been in production since 2009, providing cash flows and a solid platform for future growth. It is easy to be excited about Sabodala. Last year, Sabodala produced a record 233,000 ounces. While Sabodala has already produced in excess of 1.4 million ounces of gold since our IPO, it still has a long mine life extending to 2031, a reserve base of 2.7 million ounces of reserves, proven and probable, and 4.4 million ounces of M&I and 1 million of inferred resources. We have a solid track record of replacing and increasing reserves at Sabodala. Our revised mine plan results in a significantly improved production profile that will have us produce more than 1 million ounces over the next 5 years and generating $230 million of free cash flows between now and 2022. The next key pillar in our growth is Wahgnion. Wahgnion's initial reserve base is 1.2 million ounces. However, we fully expect to increase and improve economics at Wahgnion. The first improvement will follow the completion of an infill drill program aimed at converting inferred resources to reserves, and we are projecting a 25 to 50% conversion, and we anticipate reporting on the results by mid-year. The second update will reflect the success of our program to drill out more than a dozen previously identified targets within close proximity of the mill. To date, only 4 of those dozen targets have been included in the initial feasibility study. We announced the financing commitment for Wahgnion a short while ago. With financing expected to close in Q2, construction has begun. The target for first gold pour is the end of 2019, following which our annualized production, Wahgnion and Sabodala together, is expected to grow to around 350,000 ounces. This puts us one step closer to becoming a mid-tier gold producer. In mining, you're always looking to make a discovery that will transform the company. For Teranga, we believe that may be Golden Hill. This project is situated in the Sundae Belt in Burkina Faso, an area well known for its high-grade gold discoveries. We are very excited about Golden Hill. Golden Hill has produced, in 1 year, a series of high-grade, near-surface drill results at the first 5 prospects. All prospects are located 5 kilometers from a central point, which aligns perfectly with our expertise in mining multiple open-pit deposits around a central plant facility. Golden Hill is moving quickly and is shaping up to be one of the best high-grade exploration projects in West Africa. We plan to release an initial resource for Golden Hill's most advanced prospects by year-end, and we have secured $25 million through debt financing to advance it through to feasibility study. I would now turn to Côte d'Ivoire, a country known for major discoveries and regarded by many as the most prospective in West Africa. We entered Côte d'Ivoire about 18 months ago with the acquisition of 5 exploration permits. While they are still in the very early stages of exploration, one in particular, Guitry, has a 3 by 7 kilometer anomaly where we have now commenced drilling. Elsewhere in Côte d'Ivoire, we announced a joint venture with a private company, and in December of last year, we secured a very prospective land package comprised of a mining license and 3 exploration permits, collectively referred to as Ephemera. The Ephemera mining license is located in the southeast corner of Côte d'Ivoire, a long trend with a number of prolific gold belts and successful producing mines in Ghana. It includes an historical near-surface oxide and sulfide resource of 2 million historical ounces. The Ephemera land package was highly sought after as part of a formal process by a number of large gold companies. We believe our strong social license gave us the leading edge in this competitive process. Our strategy is to grow Teranga by being disciplined in our operations and prudent with our capital. At the end of 2017, we had $88 million of cash in the bank. We expect Sabodala to generate more than $90 million in free cash flow over the next 2 years. And with our now committed term sheet for $165 million to finance the Wahgnion project and an additional $25 million to advance Golden Hill, we are in a strong position to build Wahgnion and to take Golden Hill through to feasibility without the need to issue any equity. We completed Teranga's delisting from the Australian Stock Exchange in mid-December of last year. This caused a significant overhang on our stock during the second half of the year. But we have now seen good momentum since, with our share price up by more than 70%. Over the course of the past 3 months, We have had a series of positive news releases, including receipt of our financing commitment for Wagnon construction and the Golden Hill feasibility study, as well as exploration success at Golden Hill. We are covered by some of the best Canadian analysts in the sector, including BMO, RBC, and Cormark. Each of them have Turanga rated at either a buy or an outperform. We have a strong institutional following and a large cornerstone shareholder who holds a 22% interest. Tableau Corporation is controlled by David Mimran, a director on Turanga's board. David lives here in Geneva, but spends most of his time in West Africa running his family business. His family business is the largest private employer in both Senegal and Côte d'Ivoire, where it has been operating for more than 60 years. Having David on our board, who is trusted and considered local by our host governments, has been of great value to Turanga. In 2018, we expect a number of key catalysts to Turanga's share price. Amongst them, additional updates on Golden Hill, as well as updates about our exploration programs in Côte d'Ivoire. Construction progress at Wagnon, including mill construction commencement in Q2, and a reserve update with improved economics by mid-year. In summary, Turanga is very well positioned in one of the fastest growing producing regions in the world. We have gold assets at all stages: production, development, advanced and early stage exploration. And we have the organic growth strategy that involves sequencing the deployment of our capital for the construction of our projects in our pipeline in a manner that is prudent and disciplined. At Turanga, we have three distinct advantages. We have experience operating in West Africa, a unique and supportive cornerstone shareholder, and a strong social license that is critical to our success. As we advance our project pipeline and deliver on our upcoming milestones, we are well positioned to improve our share price. The multiples that our peers trade at provide benchmarks for what is possible for Turanga. Today, we're trading at roughly US $320. However, just doing the simple math, with our 4 million ounces in 2P reserves and cash alone, we are valued at closer to $6 at today's gold price. We are unique in today's market. We are a growth and value story. And with that, I look forward to any of your questions.
Thank you very much, Simpenta. Congratulations to you, Trish, and perhaps Richard if he's listening. Our next speaker, because since we have aligned a lot of people, Eric Desaulniers, President and CEO of Nouveau Monde Graphite. Eric is a trained geologist from the province of Quebec in Canada. He'll pride himself to say he's a geophysicist. Having said that, I got to congratulate Eric because he started off less than 10 years ago and has succeeded into building something that is quite interesting. So he's really what I would call one of the nouveaux entrepreneurs du Québec. Donc, Eric Desaulniers, président de Nouveau Monde Graphite, effectivement, géologue de formation, géophysicien qui a su se démarquer. Et puis avec le projet là, de Mataweni, localisé au Québec, est en train de créer quelque chose, je pense, qui est très intéressant. Ça fait qu'Éric, le plancher est à toi. Avancer.
C'est un pointeur, ça?
Oui, ça va être ici.
Celle-là ici. Je vais mettre ma présentation.
Okay.
Trouble. Je veux pas rien trouver de compromettant à ton ordinateur, Eric.
J'ai rien touché.
OK.
Excuse-moi, j'aurais dû te le mettre. Là. J'ai tout.
Ouais, non, t'as un dieu deux jours, je comprends. Oui, peut-être. Lui, il l'a mis à quelque part.
Ah, OK.
C'est la présentation. C'est Nouveau Monde.
C'est pas dans le même dossier.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. You can make some noise now. Allez-y, vous pouvez faire du bruit.
C'est tout bon?
OK. Bon, ben. Est-ce que tu fais?
La présentation était sur le desk.
Ah, il a
changé?
Ah, j'ai changé.
Ah, mais tu veux claquer ça?
Lui, ici. Bon.
OK. Alors, Eric, le plancher est à toi.
laisser faire ça. So, Nouveau Monde, hein? I'll speak mainly in English. We'll do it like Montreal way, some word in French, some word in English. And the first one is Nouveau Monde. What's Nouveau Monde? Nouveau Monde stands for New World. So at Nouveau Monde, we were exploring in new territories, using new tools. Because as Eric mentioned, I did an undergrad in geology. I didn't quite like it. I prefer maths and physics. So I did a master in geophysics. And basically what we've done at Nouveau Monde Graphite, it's exploring in a completely unexplored territories for something we know we can detect with my personal expertise that was airborne geophysics. So in 2012, I founded the company and we brought it public in 2013. And we discovered finally after 3 years of grassroots exploration, what is now today one of the largest reserve. We just filed a pre-feasibility study in last December. And basically why we decided to do this exploration model, there's only one graphite mine in North America currently. It's owned by Ephemera. Vous connaissez probablement. Ephemera, the mother company, is based in Paris, a 5 billion market cap company. They have a division on graphite. In Bordeaux, Switzerland, right here, they do the artificial graphite. In Belgium, they do the carbon black. And in Quebec, they do the natural graphite. So we know for a fact that our deposit, our system was very effective at finding graphite. So we discovered in 2015 a huge deposit that we'll talk to you today. And basically our deposit, what is very interesting to say, it will be the first time in North America since Imris that another mine is producing graphite this summer. So we're building a first capacity this summer. We'll build a plant. We're financed for it. It's halfway the construction. We'll show you a picture. And we'll be producing 2,000 tons of flake graphite in the next 2 years to qualify our product in advance of the project financing. So that's our strategy. A lot of milestones this year. We'll talk to you about that in the presentation. And basically, it's the only new graphite discovery since 2001. There's other old deposits that were known in North America. Our deposit is the only new discovery since Mason Graphite at Lac Guéret, northern Quebec, in a remote location. So we are located basically in the North American Graphite Triangle. So Quebec Graphite Triangle, but there's no other mine in North America. So you see Imris is located right here. Montreal is right here. Ottawa, that's where I'm living, right here. And we were doing airborne geophysics at the time, a long time ago for Imris. So we knew that's how we benchmark our system. And we basically covered a huge area. Imris has a second transformation plant in just north of Montreal. And our deposit is 2 hours north, right here in a small town named Saint-Michel-des-Saints. Fantastic place for you to visit. So, small note on Imris. It's the only mine since '89. It is owned by a 5 billion market cap in Paris. It's the most profitable mine in Quebec in 2014. So they don't shut down. It's depleted, and they are shutting down in 2021. And it's not because it's not a good business. It was actually in Quebec recently. All the royalties is paid proportional on the profit. And in 2014, they were one of the only mine in Quebec that was on the super profit, so they paid more royalty. So that's how I can introduce our CFO there, because he was the financial controller at the mine at the time. So maybe it's not good in your resume. You should have found more expense, because they paid a lot of tax that year. It was a good year, yeah. So our project basically, that's my car, obviously. Not a Tesla, because there's a lot of graphite in one of those. And the deposit is right there. So if you are all invited, if you want to visit the project, fantastic, from Montreal, 2 hours drive, you can try the car, believe it. It's a great market. I know Gabrielle from Neolithium don't like when we talk about Tesla, but I cannot excuse myself. I love it so much. And the deposit is right there. We're in the middle of the deposit, and that's the location that now it's all stripped, and we'll show you some picture. So our project basically is two things. Our mission is to serve tomorrow's economy by sustainable development of our resource. And by the way, sustainable development is great to say, but we're really working hard to make a model project. And we're working with a small Switzerland company to help us achieve that, named ABB. ABB, they have a big research center in Montreal for electrification of transport. So we're adapting what they use for bus, like the big charging station. For our operation, it will be all electric, zero emission. ABB is working with us to do the feasibility study, and the great people, they know what they're doing. So we expect pretty good economics, and it will be all electric. We're plugged on the grid, so that's something we do. So what? Tomorrow's economy. Tomorrow's economy, it's today's economy. We need to stay in the traditional market. There's tons of stuff you can do with graphite, so you need to be in these markets. High margin, lower volume market, and you need to innovate, stay at the top of the marketing, and you need to be in the anode material business, obviously, the one going in the battery, and also expandable graphite. We'll talk to you about it. Basically, PFS number. So you can see we have a real project right at the start of my presentation. So 500 million NPV in Canadian dollar. This is all in Canadian dollar, otherwise stated. So you see 500 million NPV, great project. It's 2.3 years payback period. The cost of production in Canadian, it's $539, so $405 to produce 1 ton of flake. That is valued by a third party at $1,429. So $1,000 of margin, and that's only for producing the flakes. And then if you include the value added, we are working currently, I think, including these numbers in our 42101. It's not 42101, but there's a lot of value add that going in the battery market. And we're working hard at including these numbers in our next studies. So now we just filed PFS in December, and we're working hard to make a feasibility study for Q3 this year, September, October, and then update this feasibility study with the value add. So that's basically it. So what's our strategy with Imerys? I was really nice at the beginning, like 2014, 15, when we discovered this deposit the first time. I was always bringing the rock at the mine site. Do you like it? They like it so much that they sent 5 guys, and from the 5 guys, 3 are in our team now. So instead of, Imerys is never acquiring early stage asset. They always acquire asset when it's at a later stage. It's fine, it's okay. So currently we have no more NDAs with Imerys. So Charles joined the company a year ago. He was financial controller for 5 years for the mine site, the value-added plant, the sale office in the US. And this summer, Carl actually was born in the small village. We discovered a deposit which helped us in this decision to quit Imerys. He was a natural graphite operation leader for Imerys in the last 6 years. So he's the operation guy. He was running the mine site. Great, great guy. You need a guy like this, especially when you build a plant. So we have operators, financial guy, know how to make the money, and hopefully we'll find some expense in our, not pay all the tax, Charles. And Armando Farate was in the last 2 years the marketing guy for Imerys. So he's a natural graphite market leader. So the sales, so that's, we have the right guy. And Andrew is a fantastic guy for value added. Imerys were not in the battery market. So we need to go in Asia to get the expertise for transforming it in the anode material. Andrew brought me 5 times in China last year to better understand how they do it in China, to realize, in fact, that there's no reason why we couldn't produce this anode material in Quebec much cheaper because of electricity. But we'll talk it after. So big supporters in Quebec is Quebec institution. We're really, really grateful to have these institutions. They invest since the beginning of the project. Caisse de dépôt here, a small $300 billion fund, the largest pension fund in Canada. They have a roughly 10% if you include fully diluted. Investissement Québec is Quebec government money. They invested in our last round. Desjardins, a big bank. FTQ, a big union with $11 billion. So altogether, it's 25% of the shares. It's trading today at 35 cents. We have 134 million in the bank. We have roughly $9 million, but I can tell you we're spending money now. We're building a plant. It was budgeted for $12 million. I'm pretty confident to get it for $10 million, but in June it will be producing, and we are financed to do the feasibility study and for the demo plant. And we have a lot of warrants, as you see, that are in the money that we expect the money to get in. So we're not planning to go to the market just now, but we are a project. So these slides are for Gabriel. Neolithium, you don't like when you talk the market. We will now, a little bit, because it is important to understand where we're going with the EV. So what's this curve? And this curve is oil market. What's the oil? I know some of you still have oil investment. So I just want to explain when oil investment will be impacted by EV. It will happen, but when? So that's what happened. This curve is the world oil consumption per capita. It all started the oil business. Before that, it was used in lamps, and there was no big market for oil. But 1910, 1924, it was a 60% growth rate at the time, 60% when the Ford Model T started the mass production. And it became slowly the market it is today, huge market. So today, since 2010, it's a 60% growth rate since 2010. It was 60% from zero at the beginning, but now it's a 60% year after year after year after year, and that file I didn't have this year, but I can confirm you that last year too, it's still a 60% growth rate, mainly in China. I can tell you President Xi decided we go all electric. We will go all electric because it's 30 million cars in China, and President Xi decided 10% next year of all cars need to be all electric. So all the car makers wrote a letter to President Xi. Sorry guys, we are much better in the EV supply chain. So China is going electric for sure, for health reason, but also for economic reason. All the reason is pushing China to go there. So that's why you see all the car makers following. They don't have choice, So China is leading the way, but there are also big markets in Europe and in Canada, in the United States, obviously. So we keep up with that 60% growth. So with that growth, when EV will displace 2 million barrels of oil a day? That's the big question. When it will displace 2 million barrels of oil. Why 2 million barrels of oil a day? Because 2 years ago, it was what made the price collapse. So every day it's 80 million barrels of oil is consumed. Only 2 million barrels of oil too much on the supply caused the price to collapse. So that's the expert, it's not me, it's coming from Bloomberg. At this current growth, it is 2023 that it will displace 2 million barrels of oil. I was in Abu Dhabi and Dubai 3 weeks ago, and they claim they have 2.6 trillion. Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, 2.6 trillion of asset. But this asset, it's all oil. So imagine what they will want to do before. Do you think they will want to reduce the supply or increase the supply? I can tell you, they want to increase the supply. So I really see the problem happening if at the current growth at 60% will be 2023. But 60% of big numbers will start to have some bottleneck. So probably 45% or 30% growth is more realistic. It's 2025 or 2028. So my point is just, please start to hedge in battery material your oil and gas investment for the sake of the rich place Geneva is. Because it is happening. And why I'm talking about that? Obviously, because in a battery like this, there is lithium. It's easy to say. That's why Gabriel doesn't need to explain all this. It's a lithium-ion battery, so there's lithium. But there is a lot of graphite as well. So for every kilowatt hour, it's 1.2 kilogram of graphite. The black sheet is in graphite, and the white sheet is lithium compound of different minerals. So it's 15% of the weight. It's significant. It's very significant. And today, there are a lot of battery plants being built on the planet. Obviously, Tesla was a pioneer in 2014. They were announcing 35 gigawatt-hour plant when the market was 39. But today, after all these years, there's 23 big plants being built like this on the planet. And like Volkswagen, all these guys are not included in there. And I'm just showing that to show you that we are in line to keep up with that growth of 60% in terms of battery capacity by 2021. So there will be 372 gigawatt hour of new battery capacity on the planet, 2021, 22, 23 in these times. And it's only for 5 million EV. It's not a lot yet, 5% of the market. And it represents 450,000 tons of graphite. So it's a lot of graphite, obviously. So, and I don't want to name them all, but Volkswagen announced again last week, they announced last year $60 billion of future investment, but they started to make this investment last week with 25 billion. 25 billion, just to put everything on scale. Tesla is 5 billion, the Gigafactory. Now it's 25 billion only on batteries. So it's a lot of batteries. It's a change of supply. We need to look at graphite differently, how it was made. So, and I'm not even talking Volvo, Jaguar, everyone's going all electric. No more V12. It's all going all electric. No noise anymore for a Jaguar. That's it. So, and in North America, China is big, obviously, but North America is also pretty big. There is LG Chem making batteries. There is Tesla making batteries. There's 13 new battery makers in America we are monitoring, we're talking with. And there's zero supplier. There's only one mine that is depleted. And Emirates is not in that market yet because there was no market for battery in America. So they were not focusing on that. All the market was in Asia before. So we want to be a supplier in that market, obviously. But there's not only Tesla, there's not only the battery market, there's other market as well. The biggest market for graphite is refractory, the bricks. The bricks in the steel-making industry was 55% of the market 4 years ago. Now it's 35%. Battery was 9%, now it's 25%. But there's also all the specialty graphite. A country like China is 67% of the market. But this year, China will become a net importer. They buy mainly the new sources that are coming from Africa. So it's interesting. China now consumes more than they produce. And in America, where we are based, 80,000 tons in the traditional market. But you need to add another 150,000 tons for the battery market. So now will be a market of 230,000 tons in North America. And no one on the planet can beat our costs to deliver to these customers that we know, and we know what they buy and what is their specs, what's the name of the guy, we have all this, the price they pay, all this, it's important in graphite. So just a few slides to show you. You see there's a lot of different graphite products. You have big flakes, it's worth more money than small flakes. Higher purity worth more money than smaller purity. Typically in China, 94, 95%. We are at 97 and give a premium. We can tap in new markets that you cannot tap in with 94%. But basically, just to show you, the price was drifting down since 2012. Why? Steel makers were not doing a lot of business. It was a slowdown globally, especially in China. So the price was going down while lithium price and cobalt price was going crazy because it's really impacted by the volatility and the growth in the battery market. It's a bigger market, graphite. But since September, boom, last year, 30% growth because steelmaker resume operation, and for the first time of history, battery markets start to have a price maker. They start to be the price maker. So that's the most recent one. And to make it easier, the best guy is Benchmark Mineral. They follow all the mineral price, but they made an index of all graphite products, and that's the recent one from the last month. So you see, boom. So it didn't do the lithium curve or the cobalt curve yet, but people start to see the impact now. So my point is, if you are speculators and you think it's going down, I don't think so. I just think it will go up, but it didn't move up quite significantly yet, and we don't see it happening on the stock like us yet. There will be another ride, a real ride, fundamental ride for graphite. So our project, few slides on the project anyway. It's a very good project. So we're located 2 hours north of Montreal. We discovered this deposit, 14 kilometers of conductors that is all associated with graphite. We're located 5 kilometers southwest of a small town, 3,000 people, great labor, historically a forestry skilled labor place. You see the plant that we are building is right there. Actually, it's already built. We're just refurbishing it, 5 kilometers north. So it's all infrastructure is there, electricity, cheap 3 cents per kilowatt hour. So everything is there in terms of infrastructure. I know all projects say that, but in that case, you can drive with the Tesla right on it, which is not the case for most of mining projects. So our deposit is 2.3 kilometers now in the PFS, but we're adding this bit here. We just announced 2 weeks ago the new drill result. We added 300 meters here because we received claim that was restricted in the past. So this zone will make a resource update within a month. We'll add quite a significant amount of resource, but most importantly, we'll improve the strip ratio another time. Big strength of our project is the size. It's huge. We can even, that's 27-year mine life. That's from surface to 120 meter. It's open at depth, open along strike, both sides. We have another 45 million ton of ore here that is not in our mining project. So having said that, we have a lot of upside if we want, but this is a big resource. So we have about $2.5 billion worth of graphite in situ just in this small 27-year mine life that we're planning. Very important graphite metallurgy. It's no magic graphite. It's just graphite that need to be placed. So you produce crushing, grinding, float. You need to have a very high purity after simple flotation. So $400 US to do that, and it's valued at $1,429 US because of the flake size distribution and the high purity. Purity is king in graphite, but purity not in the ore, purity in the concentrate at the end. It's very important. So what we plan to do in terms of value added, we want to tap in all the market that Imerys is in now, make sure we replace them with their capacity, with a bigger capacity, and also develop two main projects, two main value add. Value add for expandable graphite. It's big business. BASF is buying graphite to put in their foam board, the great EPS, and makes it fire retardant. And it was approved in the last 2 years as a grade 1 fire retardant. So now they're buying a lot of graphite to put as a construction material. And that's large and jumbo flakes. We develop a small electrochemical process. And the other big market, battery market, it's fines and medium. So the purpose is to have a lot of different options and just sell to the biggest market, make sure we are in all these value add, and we can play, okay, this guy is not, if Tesla, for instance, I know they want it crazy cheap. If Tesla you want it too cheap, I will sell more in other markets. So you need to be diversified like that to have a successful graphite operation. So last 2 slides, that's the plant we have. We've leased all this section, 100,000 square foot, 10,000 square meter. So there's already 10 megawatt of power. It's permitted. We've leased this. It was an old chipboard plant. $300 million it cost. It's a gift from the US guys. Louisiana Pacific, they shut that down in 2006. And 2 years ago, they decided to officially start to dismantle, remove equipment. So that's the place we are planning to do a demo plant. It's very important to go to commercialize our product right now in advance of our project financing. That's where we'll create value in graphite, to show to the investors that we have a running operation and we have qualified our product. So that's just a live update. That's Sunday night, actually. This Sunday, we just finished to pour all the concrete. So in the last 2 days, they brought in all the equipment that was sitting nearby. So now we're assembling everything. If you visit the plant, late May, early June, it will be close to start operation. The first in-bag, we call the first in-bag, should be in June this summer. So very, very exciting time. And this was in January. We remove all the trees, and it's about 3 football fields. That's where we'll take the 40,000 ton, 5 kilometers south. So we take 40,000 ton in 8 different campaigns of 5,000 ton, bring it there, and qualify our product in the next 24 months. And then early 2020, we'll make the project financing. So last slide, what are the milestones? A lot of milestones. Tesla is everywhere, eh? In the middle of the pit at minus 40 degrees in January. So we started the phase 1 mining in December. You saw the picture. Started the construction. We started actually the full production of the demo plant, I would say, will be in June. And we are talking, obviously, with different market leaders because we have graphite to offer. There are marketing agreements on the table that we cannot talk much, but That's very important. And on the commercial scale, we'll have a PFS update with the all-electric concept, resource estimate, and we are filing the bankable feasibility study for September. So it's a big year for us. Thank you for your attention.
Félicitations, très bonne présentation. Very fast.
Where is most of the graphics coming from scheduled today for the coming production in the next couple of years, let's say?
The big guy in the room is Syrah resource in Mozambique. There are a lot of problems, but they have a big deposit in Africa. So, but you know, they are targeting, that's why I was saying the Chinese are becoming a net importer. Mines in China, no one knows really their cost, but they are not cost effective that much. Syrah is planning $400 US FOB Mozambique, whereas 405 FOB Montreal. So that's, and you can take a truck, deliver to the customer. That's why we know no one on the planet, even the biggest deposit like this, cannot compete our cost structure. And they don't have electricity, and they don't have everything to make a value added. So but the big guy in the room is this project in Mozambique. That is a big project. They have problem. It's Mozambique with the rifle and the flag. We have a flag de lis on our flag. It's not the same.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. Eric, merci beaucoup. Eric, last year, Charles-Olivier had nailed it because he was put on the spot. And I can say that this afternoon you nailed it too, so congratulations on that regards. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the last presentation. I have the honor of inviting Mr. Scott McLean, the CEO of Transition Metals, a prospector generator in Canada. Scott has a lot of experience, worked with Xstrata Nickel, so he is a nickel man, if I can use the term, in Ontario and the rest of Canada. So Scott, if you want to approach. And you've been a very good audience, ladies and gentlemen. The noise level has been remarkably low, so I want to congratulate you. Thank you very much. Scott?
Thank you. Just have 11, it's been a good conference. I got 11 presentations left, so if anybody wants to follow.
I can actually, while I walk back, I'll give them out. So, usual pointer and move forward.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, you guys speak over here. Just say as much as possible because we're on TV.
Okay, great.
So we can.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'd like to congratulate the Bally's on a great conference. It's the second time I've been to Zurich and Geneva. I've also been to another conference with them, and I think this has been the best one for me. And I think all the companies here, I've got a really good feel for some of them, and I think there's some great opportunities. This is certainly one of them. I think we're demonstrably a good buy right now. I'm convinced that if not everyone in the room, at least some will buy some stock after this presentation. It's well priced, it's discounted compared to our peers and compared to the value of our investments. Transition Metals is a project generator, so it's a little different than your traditional junior. We don't like to dilute on the equity side. We limit that as much as possible. And we tend to dilute on our property interest. So we sell interest in the assets rather than interest in the equity. That keeps the shareholders' equity dilution, the rate of equity dilution very, very tight. And at the end of the day, we'll own minority interests or royalty interests in a number of discoveries, but you and I as shareholders will own a bigger piece of those discoveries. We have a number of partners that are both invested in the company as well as partners that are working to fund our projects. We have a great team. We've demonstrated our abilities. We have a number of discoveries under our belt. We've been awarded both the National Prospector of the Year Award in Canada and quite recently the Ontario, one of the provincial awards for the Discovery of the Year. We're right across Canada. We have about 30 projects we're involved in across Canada. Most of them are in Ontario. We do have one in the States. And we have some key investments that we're involved in. Notably, we own 36% of Sudbury Platinum Corporation. That's focused in the Sudbury, the great historic mining camp of Sudbury. We have 2 projects there, one of the better exploration projects on the planet, in my opinion, as well as another project that has exploration potential and a 10 million ton resource. That company will be looking to do a private placement this year and try and get that company public by the end of the year. Canadian Gold Miner, we own 40% of that. That's focused on gold exploration in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. We have a great 220 square kilometer land package there. Cisco's recently bought up 20% of the company. We are currently taking that company public through an IPO process in the second quarter. And again, a private placement opportunity is available there. We own 11% of Form Energy Metals. Form recently purchased our Janus Lake property. With that deal, we received 11% of their equity, as well as some cash payments up front and some in the future. Here are some of our partners. A measure of a good project generator is just not the quality of the projects or the number of projects, but it's also its deal flow. Are we generating projects that are attractive to other companies to come and invest in? And certainly we demonstrate we have good quality top-tier companies such as Impala, the world's second biggest platinum producer, IM Gold, North American Palladium, all spending money on our projects, as well as many other juniors. We have key investors. Rick Rule of Sprott US Global owns 15% of the company. He's recently become an insider. David Elliott, one of the founders of Haywood Securities, owns about 10%, as do I. Other notable investors include Osisko Mining Corp, as well as Resource Capital Funds. Our key investments, as I mentioned, are Canadian Gold Miner, Sudbury Platinum, and Form Energy Metals, and we have other smaller company holdings as well. So this is what the company looks like. It's a little bit complex for a small junior, but the principal company is Transition Metals. It's traded under the symbol XTM on the Toronto Venture Exchange. And we have a number of projects that are optioned out to partners, including gold projects, magmatic sulfide projects, copper projects, and a cobalt project. We have a number of projects that are available for option. I'll talk about a couple of them in this presentation. Of the, how many we have there, 11, there's 3 or 4 that are good quality projects that will be optioned out very quickly. And then we own high ownerships in 2 spin-out companies, as I mentioned earlier, Sudbury Platinum, 2 key nickel, copper, PG, cobalt projects in the Sudbury Igneous Complex, as well as Canadian Gold Miner, a number of projects focused in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt on the Ontario side. Just looking a little bit at our capital structure, the key thing with a project generator is to keep that capital structure low. You'll note that we only have 41.5 million shares outstanding. This company we took public in 2011, did a financing then at 30 cents. We did one in 2014, in the spring of 2014, at 30 cents, and recently did a very small placement to top up the treasury in November, of which some of the people in the room participated, and we did that at 15 cents. So it's definitely a good buy on a historic perspective. In addition, our 2 holdings of Sudbury Platinum and Canadian Gold Miner have had recent valuations completed on them. Resource Capital Funds invested in Sudbury Platinum at 30 cents, giving that a value of about $12.3 million. And Osisko Mining recently placed money into Canadian Gold Miner at 20 cents, providing an $8 million valuation for that company. So you can see at the bottom of the slide here on the left-hand side, the value of our investments in these 2 companies, based on those valuations, is worth more than the total market cap of the company, presumably a negative enterprise value. You can't demonstrate a better buy than that on the market. So if everybody runs out today, as many of you will, and buys a little Transition Metals stock, you'll essentially be buying the value of our investments and our cash, our projects, our other agreements, and our infrastructure all come along at no cost. Our projects are right across Canada. As you can see, we have a nexus of activity in Ontario. Our 2 spin-out companies, Canadian Gold Miner and Sudbury Platinum, are a nexus there. We have a number of projects up around Thunder Bay and some zinc projects as well. We do have a project in Saskatchewan, which we recently sold, which I'll talk a little bit about. Some projects in BC, as well as Nunavut and Northwest Territories. We won't go through this slide in detail. There's a couple of key points to take out of this. It's bundled into Transition Metals, Sudbury Platinum, and Canadian Gold Miner. The pieces you want to take away from here in the Transition Metals section is that we're actively exploring our Sundae Lake project. We view this as one of our key flagship projects within the enterprise. It's a discovery we made in late 2013, and is currently being drilled, with 2 drills active since late November by North American Palladium, who's currently on embarking on a $4.5 million drilling campaign. We haven't released any news from that program yet, and we hope to in the near future. Go West is working our Pipestone property, and Aldershot is working our Galganda property. We have a few projects that are available for option, but notably we feel that Saturday Night and Dundonald will be optioned off in the next quarter due to results that we're seeing out there. Sudbury Platinum is a private company right now. It needs to be refinanced. The key investors there are Resource Capital Funds, RNC Minerals, Transition Metals, Technica Group, and Red Cloud Klondike Strike. Once we refinance that company, we'll drive that towards a public offering in late 2018, or we'll attempt to. Canadian Gold Miner is en route for a public offering right now. We hope to be able to do that in the next few weeks, actually. We're well underway. Cisco owns 19.9% of that company, and we'll be looking to raise $3 million in April and May of this year. In terms of Sundae Lake, you want to keep your eyes on this project. It's a mineralized zone associated with a large regional feature called the Mid-Continental Rift. It's a new style of mineralization. This is an emerging PGE camp, both in Ontario, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. The mineralized zone we have to date is about 800 meters by 300 meters in size. The best intersection reported to date is about 43 meters of 3.5 grams platinum plus palladium with about 10 meters of 6. These are world-class PGM intersections. As I mentioned earlier, North American Palladium is currently active on the project with 2 diamond drills turning, and Transition Metals enjoys a 25% free carried interest through to the completion of a feasibility study on this project. These are really neat little deposits. The Mid-Continental Rift has been known for many years. It's a large magmatic environment and hosts sort of large passive systems like the Duluth Complex and the Caldwell Complex. But just recently in this century, we've discovered a new style of mineralization, or the industry has discovered a new style of mineralization, which are the early rift rocks, the very first intrusions that came up during the rifting event. And notable examples are Lundine's Eagle Mine in Michigan, Talon and Rio Tinto's Tamarack development project in Minnesota. These projects on this map, this is a magnetic map of the Thunder Bay area of Ontario. It's about 75 kilometers across. And you'll note that there's a few interesting magnetic features here. See if I can get the thing working here. Notably, up in the far right corner there's these small reversely polarized features that represents about 1 million ounces of platinum equivalent owned by Panoramic and Rio Tinto. Down in the Thunder Bay area near the bottom of the map is another reversely polarized magnetic feature, and this is a mineralized intrusion in the subdivision of Thunder Bay that requires more work. Sundae Lake is in the middle of the map. That's probably the best one there. These are very characteristic of these deposits. They were in place when the Earth's poles were reversed, so north was south and south was north, and so they're high mag features that are reversely polarized. We've identified another one we call Saturday Night. Oh, thanks. We've identified another one that we've called Saturday Night over here. It's a little smaller than Sundae Lake, but we own 100% of it with no underlying royalties. We've staked this. We decided to spend some of our own money to drill a single hole into it. So the one wildcat hole that we drilled into the only hole in the whole intrusion is still returning great mineralization, 6 meters of over 1 gram with a small intersection of 4 grams. This will be optioned off very quickly. We're just holding this back until we can get results from Sundae Lake out. Another project which will be optioned imminently is Dundonald. There's a lot of interest in this project with the renewed interest in nickel and cobalt. This is about a 9.5 kilometer strike length of nickel PGMs and cobalt within a komatiite sequence. There is a small resource associated with this property, but the mineralization is very high-grade nickel and PGMs. You can see some of the intersections that have been returned in the past. There's even a VMS deposit on this property called the Terminus Zone. It's mostly copper zinc, but notably it also hosts in this one intersection 0.13% cobalt. So we anticipate that this is another project that we'll be able to option in the coming weeks. I'll just touch on a couple of our major investments. Canadian gold miner, Sudbury Platinum, and Forum Energy Metals. Canadian gold miner is 40% owned by Transition Metals. It has a camp scale property position within the notorious Abitibi Greenstone Belt. The Abitibi Greenstone Belt has produced about 180 million ounces of gold through time, and is still Canada's largest gold producer, producing about 80% of Canada's gold on an annualized basis. Osisko Mining now owns 19% of Canadian gold miner, and we have some other projects that are less strategic that are being operated and explored by IAMGOLD and Explorex. Our plans for this project are to take this company, are to take it public in the early part of the next quarter. We'll focus on drilling off a couple of key properties, notably the South Kirkland property, which I'll show you in a second, as well as the DeSantis project. We are hopeful that alongside of this IPO, we'll be able to provide a share dividend back to Transition shareholders of some of the shares that we hold within Transition. So this is a map of the Abitibi on the Ontario side. The map is about 250 kilometers across, and gold in this camp is associated with these major crustal structures or breaks. The Dester Porcupine through the Timmins camp, which has produced about 70 million ounces of past production. The Cadillac Larder break, which includes the Kirkland Lake Larder camp, which has produced about 40 million ounces of gold through time. And a new emerging frontier, which is the Rideout structure south on this map. And over the last number of years, about 15 million ounces have been discovered along that break between the Shining Tree area and out into the Swayze Belt. Our main property is this property here. It's called South Kirkland. We control a 25-kilometer strike of a splay fault off the main break called the Lincoln Nipissing. The whole strike length is riddled with numerous gold showings, past-producing workings, and pits along this. It's very, in the geologic context, it's very similar to the Canadian Malartic situation. It's on a secondary splay south of the main break. It's down in the older rocks of the Pontiac rather than Temiskaming. And I believe that this is why Osisko was interested in their equity position in us, in that they had attempted to acquire this property in the past, were unable to, and when we acquired it, it sparked their interest to join us. With our deal with Osisko, we also acquired two properties, the DeSantis and the Catherine. The DeSantis is certainly an interesting project, past producer with a small resource, but again, some excellent exploration upside. Sudbury Platinum, we own 36% of. Anybody who knows Sudbury knows that it's a difficult place to get a toehold in. The camp is controlled by three senior companies. One is called Glencore, one is called Vale, and the third is KGHM out of Poland. For us to be able to get two key properties in this camp is a real coup. We were able to purchase the Eric Kidd property. This was a property that I had tried to acquire for Falconbridge in 2003, was unable to. Tried to acquire it when I first left Xstrata Nickel in 2007, was unable to, and finally, after 2 years of negotiating with the Chinese, was able to acquire it in 2013. Lockerbie East is a project I sold when I was in Falconbridge for $8.6 million. I was able to buy that back out of a bankruptcy sale for $100,000 in cash and $100,000 in shares. Eric Kidd sits between two key deposits, two key mines in the Sudbury camp. One is Vale's Totten mine. It's worth about $6 billion in situ metal value. And just on our other property boundary is KGHM's development project called Victoria, worth about $12 billion of in situ metal value. Lockerbie East hosts some resources, a rather low-grade 10 million tons of low-grade material running about 0.7 nickel equivalent, and a high-grade plum at depth that's up over 3%. We've also identified some very attractive exploration targets below the resources that need to be drilled. Our near-term plans are to recapitalize this company, get the drill initiated again at Air Kid, and hopefully take this towards a public offering later this year. This is the camp. It's a 60 by 30 kilometer meteorite impact site where an asteroid struck the Earth about 1.85 billion years ago. It's been in production since 1883 and has produced about 1.6 billion tons of ore from 56 mines, and currently has 11 mines in operation with 2 smelters and two mills. Our properties sit down in the southwest corner. We have the Lockerbie East, which is classified as a contact deposit, large low-grade resource with some exceptional exploration upside. And then Air Kid, which sits on the Worthington Offset Dike, sandwiched in between Totten, which is 10 million tons of 1.5% nickel, 2% copper, and nearly 5 grams PGMs, and Victoria, which is being built now, and it's about 15 million tons, 2.5% nickel, 2.5% copper, and nearly 8 grams precious metals. And Eric likes it when I call this a jewelry box. The final investment I'll talk about is Forum Energy Metals. We basically sold our Janus Lake project to them in return for cash and shares and a royalty. This is a sedimentary hosted copper project in Saskatchewan and in the Wollaston domain. It's about 55 kilometers southeast of the southeast corner of the Athabasca Basin. The project hosts disseminated chalcocite throughout the property. Some of our work to date has identified grab samples as high as 10% copper, but notably the target here is about 1% copper as chalcocite over 20 to 30 meters. This is the only worldwide analog we can find to the Udokan deposit in Russia, which is being built by Quai Mining, which is a subsidiary of Metallo Invest. Udokan is 26 million tons of contained copper. It's a 3 billion ton ore body with 1% copper, all as chalcocite. For those folks who don't know what chalcocite is, it's a high-grade copper mineral. It's about twice as much copper in the mineral structure that chalcopyrite hosts, which is the more common ore mineral, and therefore will float and produce a very high-grade concentrate. So I want to encourage you to take a good look at transition metals. We feel it's discounted right now. It's a great buy right now. By buying it today, you're essentially buying our investments, and everything else comes along for free. We have a number of catalysts that will take us through the rest of the year. I expect that this will have a positive impact on our share price. That includes taking Canadian Gold Miner public, and by doing that, we'll create some news flow, but we'll also create a good, robust drilling program on our South Kirkland and DeSantis properties. We expect results from North American Palladium in the near future, and I hope to be able to release those sometime in the near future. I'm hopeful that those are positive and will have energy into our stock as they continue to drill. We expect that we'll be able to option projects quite readily in the next few weeks. Dundonald and Saturday Night are obvious ones that we expect to be optioned. That when we do these options, that often creates excitement in our stock and definitely guarantees work to get done and news flow to be created. We did do the deal with Forum Energy Metals. They will be exploring Janus Lake this summer. We expect news to start flowing out of that project later in the summer. And Sudbury Platinum, of course, once we get that finance, which if anyone's interested in hearing more details on that, please come and talk to me. And once that's financed, we'll fire up the drill again at Air Kid and look to try and take that company public. We're getting low on the shelf in terms of projects, in terms of good quality projects for option. We've raised a little bit of money recently that we're going to be re-energizing our project generation activities. We've already identified targets and projects that we're after right now for acquisitions and staking. Those two will, again, keep the company moving forward in terms of news flow. Thanks very much.
Well, that was the end of the presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Mesdames et messieurs, c'était la fin. Je voudrais remercier de votre présence. J'espère que tout le monde a eu un très bon déjeuner. Excusez-moi. I think, Manu, there's something that we have to do. Manuel? Hola. Okay, so I guess, did everybody put their business card in the little aquarium? Ah oui, ok, ça me ferme les yeux. C'est vrai, excuse-moi, tu fais une présentation.
Non, pas de question. Parce que nous, c'est juste une petite pub. Un petit film, c'est tout. Vous allez sur la clé, il n'y a que ça à cliquer dessus. Ça marche dans l'autre sens. C'est comme les filles, c'est pas dans le sens, c'est dans l'autre.
I gotta be careful. I only have one, so I don't have that much experience. The thing with these things is that sometimes
It's that good?
it's just you can't. Tu peux pas le. Tu sais, tu comprends ce que je veux dire?
Ouais, tu peux pas aller jusqu'au fond. L'histoire de filles, ça aussi, c'est pareil. Hein. Ah oui, mais c'est un Microsoft, il faut aller là, ouais. Est-ce qu'il l'a trouvé ou pas? Non, là, tu as cliqué sur l'autre. C'est bon. Descends. Ascenseur.
Je suis nerveux, t'es à côté de moi, là, ça va dessus?
Je te sens fébrile.
Ouais.
Il n'arrive pas à la lire.
Okay. If we take off this, hold on, I'll try it on this side.
Non, il l'a repris, c'est pas de l'autre côté. Oui, c'est bon.
Mais il n'y a pas beaucoup de place à la tenir, vous comprenez?
Il l'a ou pas? Oui, il l'a cherché.
Si je la laisse, je reste.
Lâche. C'est bon. Non, mais il faut faire OK là. Il faut faire OK et puis après il faut la charger.
Yeah, I was just trying to read the USB card. It's always these ones that are not easy to slip in.
Oh. Non, c'est pas là.
It's a great marketing tool, but it's just it's not
Yes, but
non,
mais attends. C'est rien à voir. Tiens ça.
Est-ce qu'il y a des
No, what's the USB port?
Ouais, c'était là, mais en fait, elle n'était pas bien mise.
J'ai une autre clé. Elle est là, tu l'as? Ah, ok, c'est bon. Ok, voilà, c'est parti.
Tu as besoin d'un point de...
Non, c'est ok. Just listen, le son.
Le son, je ne sais pas s'il est retransmis dans la salle, par contre.
Ok, oui, il faut mettre depuis le début après. Si tu peux mettre le son.
Je vais faire ça tout de suite.
Je cherchais avant son PC, mais bon. On va commencer par le pilote d'implant. C'est ça qui va tirer. C'est ça qui va tirer, je te laisse.
Je vous lance la vidéo?
Je vais lancer la vidéo, ouais. Mais il y a le son ou pas? Ouais. Voilà, parfait.
A pure Swiss bullion gold coin. Designed by the famous artist Roger Pfund. Secured by an advanced nanotechnological process. Give your future a valuable aesthetic security.
So, first I want to thank you, the Bali family and his team, to organizing this event. It's really a top-class event with a very good entrepreneur and smart investors, and I'm really proud to be here to sponsor this event. So, I want to offer you two pieces, and Sarah will decide for who those present are. The first one is a 1 kilo silver. We talk about silver, so I'm not in the mining business, but I try to create from those precious metals and those material added value product. So it's designed by Roger Pfund. So Roger Pfund, for people who doesn't know who is the guy who designed the Swiss passport and banknotes. So, and I tell him, it's a friend now, Roger, you designed the Swiss passport, you designed banknotes, please, design me a coin. And then we create this venture 5 years ago. So the 1 kilo silver, it's a wonderful pieces, made in Switzerland, so everything was made in the Watch Valley in Le Locle with Huguenin. We strike these pieces with 3 times 600 tons. So it was a challenge to create that. Why it was a challenge? Because of the hardness of the silver we need to make the right print of the micro letters. The micro lettering techniques, it's something we are using in the security graphic design. So we're trying to do this. So Sarah, for who is it? If it's still in the room, of course. So cabinet fiduciaire Dayer, it's Mr. Nicolas Dayer. Who is it? Is it in the... Ne la remets pas dedans. So, sorry. So, bravo. The second present, it's a quarter ounce, gold quarter ounce. And this ounce is secured by a nanotechnological process. So the idea in this business, when you create product like that, is the fakes one. So we are the 21st century, and we believe we need to be able to authenticate what we produce. And we reach to do it via this technology. So the winner of this quarter gold ounce is Mr. Hans Brundler. So, thank you, everybody.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end. I want to thank you very, very much. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est la fin. Je voudrais vous remercier du fond de mon cœur pour votre attention. I want to also thank all the presentators today and yesterday in Zurich. I know it's been 2 long days. Hopefully everybody had a good time. I think, Trish, you're smiling, and I think you did. But yes, I just want to thank again here the Bally's for organizing this. I think it's a period of time that is not necessarily easy and evident, but I think sometimes it's when you have the wind against your face that the old saying, buy low, sell high, is the most appropriate, and we don't practice what we preach sometimes. But yes, I hope everybody had a great time, and as we say in Québécois, à l'an prochain. Merci, mesdames et messieurs. So now we're off CNN, so you can have fun.